What's good, Commanders fans? I just wanted to go over the undrafted free agents that they have named so far. It looks like they've signed. I already talked about Sam Hartman last night. And I talked about the quarterback and Austin Jones, the running back, last night. I talked about him. And then they signed another defensive back, AJ Woods, out of Pittsburgh. Norrell Pollard, defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, who's a really, really good pass rusher. Local guy, local college guy, had 4 sacks last year. A lot of teams wanted him, so just talk a little bit, just give like a brief review, a quick stats, numbers, stuff like that, going over these guys. Tyler Owens, the athletic freak who does not believe in outer space, apparently. Defensive back safety from out of Texas Tech. Chigozie Anusium, cornerback out of Colorado State. Michael Wiley, the running back out of Arizona. I like him a lot. They signed a wide receiver from Georgia. They did not. All these signings, they're going to become official, or the Commanders they're going to announce the signings on Monday. They're not going to like tweet anything out or have a write up or anything like that come out online until Monday. Bo Bauer, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Ben Nickel, safety, who's more of a special teams guy out of Iowa State. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, wide receiver out of Georgia. I really feel like if he would have stayed another year, like a lot of guys have 5 years. He played 4 years in college. Like Xavier Legette played 5 years in college. Like I feel like Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, if he would have stayed another year, like I don't know if he had more eligibility or whatever, but I feel like if he would have stayed another year, he would have been drafted like a 5th round pick. Like he's talented. I think he can play in this league. Kind of like how Mitchell Tinsley. I feel like Mitchell Tinsley can play in this league. I really feel like Rosemy-Jacksaint can play in the league. Excuse me, and be like wide receiver 4 or 5, something like that. And then David Noaagwu, offensive tackle out of Toledo. That is another undrafted free agent that they picked up. So I'm going to talk about my favorite guys first. Of course, let's talk about Tyler Owens real quick, because they announced his contract, and it's a nice contract. They paid him pretty well. I think it's like $220,000, and then like a signing bonus or something. This is per Ryan Fowler. Commanders are signing Texas Tech defensive back Tyler Owens. Source said $225,000 guaranteed and a $20,000 signing bonus. One of the most athletic prospects in this class, regardless of position. So you typically, when they give guys money like that, it means like they really want them to be on the roster in some capacity, as far as like the practice squad or making the back end of the roster. Like Bryson Tremaine, I think they gave him a nice signing bonus last year. Mitchell Tinsley, same thing. He ended up making the roster. Mitchell Tinsley was on the practice squad. So it basically means that they really want these guys to be a part of this team and a part of this roster. When you look at the signing bonus and the money that they give out, Tyler Owens also was one of Dane Brugler's top undrafted free agent options in his rankings. He was ranked 276 on his big board. There's only 255 picks in the draft. So Tyler Owens was basically right there. His write-up says Owens boasts first-round physical traits in his length and explosive speed, but his key and diagnose skills have yet to mature and could make him a liability on an NFL field. A move to linebacker might be in his future, and his impact on special teams could be his saving grace to making an NFL roster. 6'2", 216 pounds. Of course, a Ross athletic score is just off the charts. Let's look at his 40 time as well. But he had a 12-foot broad jump, which was like the best. It was like one of the best in the combine historically. One of the best in the combine. I gotta find this real quick. I have so many tabs up and stuff like that. Yeah, so which was the second longest in combine history, the 12-foot and 2-inch broad jump, which is really out of this world. I mean, that's just ridiculously athletic. PFF College, he was the draft safety superlatives. He was voted as the best athlete as well. Like I said, his raw score was ridiculous. Let's look at his 40-yard dash, the vertical leap, all that stuff as well. Just pulling that up here real quick. Where is it at? I don't know why this thing is acting like this. But yeah, his broad jump was just super athletic. 40-yard dash. They don't have that. His vertical jump was 41-inch vertical jump. Athleticism score was an 89, which is ridiculous. 41-inch vertical jump is ridiculous. I always say, like, he could be in the dunk contest. Like, you think of it that way. That's how high he could jump. He might be able to touch the top of the backboard. Like Dwight Howard did that. He like dunked it and touched the top of the backboard. He could probably do something similar to that. Windmill dunks. Between the legs, Vince Carter put his arm in the rim. Like, think of that athleticism, like jumping up to get an interception, jumping up to get a pass deflection, those contested catches, different things like that. That just shows how athletic that Tyler Owens is. Played in 10 games with 9 starts. 37 tackles, a tackle for loss, and 2 pass breakups, missed time with an ankle injury as well. But if you do look at his production, didn't have much production at all. Barely played barely played some seasons. He did have 1 kick return for 21. He had a punt return for 21 yards. So special teams, maybe he could be a punt return in the preseason or a kick return or something like that. Who knows? Played at Texas, then transferred to Texas Tech. Played in 6 games at Texas, 9 games at Texas, 2 games at Texas in 2021, and then 12 games at Texas Tech in 2022, and then 2023 played in 10 games, 37 tackles, like I said, 1 interception his junior year, not much ball production, 2 pass deflections his senior year and junior year, 2 forced fumbles in 2022, so he did have some ball production there for sure. But other than that, not 19 tackles in 2022, 8 tackles in 2019, 1 tackle, 3 tackles in 2020. So he just didn't get a lot of playing time. And then you look at all the write-ups about him, it's all about just, recognizing coverages, being smart, making his decision-making. That's kind of been the write-up on him. Just a lot of writers have said his decision-making and read and reacting needs a lot of improvement. So he's running out there. He's like a missile on the field, but read and reacting, just reading and just reacting, communicating with communication has to really improve. So weaknesses made just 12 career starts with fewer than 1,000 defensive snaps. Lack of experience shows up with apparent mental busts. So coverage busts. We saw a lot of that last year, like the Dolphins game. That was really on Ron Rivera who put Quan Martin on Tyreek Hill. But just, a lot of busts where, the game where we let Cooper Kupp wide open, is it coverage bust? Is that on the coaches, on the players? So stuff like that may happen when he's out there on the field. Understanding of zone assignments seems to get murky. Not enough feel for leverage and pursuit angles and run support. Inconsistent at coming to balance and proper tackle positioning. So, he's a guy, will he make the team? Will he make the practice squad? Most likely the practice squad is a special teams guy. He's just super athletic. I remember the guy, Will Adams, that we signed from Virginia State. He was an athletic freak. He didn't even make the roster. Like, he was just ridiculous at 42-inch vertical, 4.3, 40-yard dash, just ridiculous numbers. But he got cut the next week. After rookie minicamp, they cut him. So I don't want to get too excited over his numbers and his metrics because, of course, a lot of it is from the neck up. So, that's my take on him. But I am excited to have him on the team for sure. All right, let's move on to Michael Wiley, man. Michael Wiley, I like him a lot, man. He is, because we didn't draft a third down back, and we just don't really have one, like the Jaden McKissick light, Chris Thompson light kind of guys. I like this pick of a Michael Wiley. You look at some of his games, 6 foot, 215 pounds, 70 carries for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns, 4 yards per carry. So not a lot of production on the ground, but, he is talented, man. He breaks a lot of tackles and forces a lot of missed tackles. You look at the game against Utah where they won 42-18. He had 5 catches for 68 yards and 2 touchdown catches in that game. He had 2 touchdown catches against Oregon State, who was ranked 11th in college football. 5 catches for 58 yards and had a long catch for 40 yards. So he's a guy that provides more catching out of the backfield. They actually use him as a wide receiver too. So I would be intrigued to see him in the Cliff Kingsbury offense as well. Had 2 catches for 35 yards and 1 touchdown catch against Arizona State where they beat them 59-23 as well. And he's a PFF darling. PFF really liked him a lot. He was very high ranked in PFF. 5'2", 210 pounds, 123 catches over his career, 20% scrimmage yard dominator, 3.4 yards after contact as well. So he's a yak guy. He's a yak guy. Top graded running backs through week 11. Michael Wiley had an 80.4 PFF grade as well. And then one tweet from Jason Shear, if you're into PFF, the top 5 for the entire season among players that got legit snaps, Michael Wiley was among that. Jordan Morgan, Jonah Coleman, Jacob Cowing. I think that was a lot of the Arizona guys for sure. But and then in 2022, he had an 87.1 offense grade, 93.2 running back grade, which was 10th out of 369 halfbacks. And then he also had a receiving grade. He had a 71.2. So just solid numbers all around. Leaders in missed tackles forced in week 5. He had 10 forced tackles in one game. 10 missed tackles forced in one game. In one game, Michael Wiley did that. So he's super talented, man. I don't know if he'll make the roster because we were so loaded at the running back position with B-Rob, Eckler, Chris Rodriguez, but we just need a speedy scat back that can catch out of the backfield. Had five receiving touchdowns. He had more receiving touchdowns than rushing touchdowns last year. He had 8 rushing touchdowns in 2022, 771 yards as a junior. He was a 5th-year senior, and then 3 receiving touchdowns. So he's had production throughout his career. He's been used as that third down back. change the pace back as a home run hitter. We just need that. We need that badly. Let me see if he has if he's done some punt returns. He had a couple of kick returns, 5 kick returns for 95 yards in 2021. So he has some special teams returning experience there. So I do like that as well. I do want to talk about the defensive tackle that we picked up for Virginia Tech, Norwell Pollard. The Titans had strong interest. The Jags met with him. So a lot of teams had interest to draft him in the draft. The Chiefs, the Bears, Rams. A lot of teams had interest for Norwell Pollard. 24 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks as well. Had a really high pass rush win rate. I'm trying to pull that up here real quick. But he's another guy that can really get to the quarterback. He's a B 390. He had 445 snaps, 395 snaps in the B gap, 79th out of 200 PFF run defense grade as well. So he's a solid run stopper as well. Trying to find, he leaped a 33-inch vertical leap as well, which is super athletic. Ran a 4.8 40-yard dash. So he's super athletic. But the write up on him is he's a defensive lineman, is a bit undersized, but was a player Washington had reportedly met with during the pre-draft process. Was defensive tackle number 111 on Dane Brugler's list as well. So I like a lot. There's a lot to like about Norwell Pollard. A great really solid pass rusher as well. Guy that can really get to the quarterback, and that's a trend that Adam Peters has really looked for our defensive tackle. So we'll see if he can make the roster. I think he's a guy that could possibly make the roster, but definitely will make the practice squad. But there's a trend here with guys that can really get to the quarterback here with defensive tackles, as you see with Johnny Newton. He was a guy. He had the 3rd highest pass rush win rate at his position. That's the write-up that I was trying to find. 3rd highest pass rush win rate at his position. Johnny Newton is a pass rush technician. Has all the moves, all the counter moves, all the hand movements, swim moves, counter moves and he's a guy that can really get to the quarterback as well. Now let's talk about Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. He's a guy that went to Georgia all 4 years, 34 catches, 535 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also, his junior year, 29 catches, 337 yards for 2 touchdowns as well. Let's look at his write-up here. 51 athleticism score, 35 vertical jump, 35-inch vertical leap. 51 athleticism score, which is not great at all. So, but looking at the tape, he's a good yak guy. He's a guy that can make guys miss. Had a couple touchdowns against Tennessee in one game. Strength has good size with long arms and big hands. Catch focus and hand-eye coordination help to avoid easy drops. Contested catch success was an example of improved ball skills. As leaping in length to stab throws over the top of opponents, makes an honest effort to land and sustain run blocks in space. Weakness is likely to struggle with clean releases against NFL press. Lacks convincing deep speed to keep cornerbacks from sitting on route breaks. The write-up also is a long limb receiver who might not have the skill set or traits needs to uncover against NFL competition. Rosemy-Jacksaint played with improved ball skills in 2023, which allowed him to tap into his size and length for catch wins. So I like him, man. I think he played well in a couple games. He's a guy that had a couple of nice contested catches. There was a big game where he showed up really well. I think it was against Tennessee or something like that. And he had like 2 touchdowns in that game. But he looked like a possession receiver to me, but just a little bit faster than more of a possession receiver. A guy that can really move the chains and is quick too, man. I like his quickness and sure hands as well. I want to find a game that he had the 2 touchdown catches in, and then I'll just rapidly move on to the other guys. But went to Georgia. He's a guy that I really feel like if he stayed like another year, he had 7 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns against Tennessee. And then he had 99 yards against Kentucky and 1 touchdown. So those were the 2 big games that he had. 94 yards against UAB, 71 receiving yards against South Carolina. He had a touchdown against Ball State in the first game of the season with 17 yards in that game as well. But I feel like if we would have stayed another year, I think he would have been like a 5th-round pick or something like that. All right, let's rapidly go through the other guys that they brought in. Ben Nickel out of Iowa State, super athletic, but he's more of a special teams guy. He actually played wide receiver at McPherson College, 107 receptions for 1,570 yards and 10 touchdowns in his 3-year career at McPherson College. Redshirted in 2021. 2022 played in 12 games as a special team standout and had 3 tackles. Excuse me. And then 2023 as a walk-on, he earned a scholarship before the season and played in 12 games, making 2 starts, a co-captain, and another captain that we have picked up. Career high 2 pass breakups to go along And he had a career high 8 tackles, including 1 for loss against Ohio, and 2 pass breakups, a career high 2 pass breakups to go along with 1 tackle against Northern Iowa. So not many stats to look up, but he's kind of giving me Troy Apke vibes, where he's fast, super athletic. He's another guy that had a really high RAS score, basically like Troy Apke. Had a 4.3 40-yard dash, elite composite speed grade with he ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, which is pretty darn good. 39-inch vertical leap. Once again, when you're close to 40, that's really good. So he kind of reminds me of Troy Apke. The shuttle drill, 4.1 seconds, 3 cone, 6.82 seconds as well. So he's going to be more of a special teams guy if he does make the roster in some way, some capacity. Tyler Owens talked about him. Chigozie Anuzum from Colorado State. Look at some of his numbers here. He had 1 interception in his career, his last year, 57 tackles, 1 interception. So he's another guy that most likely will be a special teams guy if he does make the roster. And then David Nwagu transferred to Toledo from Rutgers in the spring of 2023. Started all 14 games. Part of an offensive line that was ranked 4th in the nation in sacks allowed. The offense ranked 1st in the MAC in scoring. Total offense, passing efficiency at 8th in the nation, and rushing offense. At Rutgers, he played in 3 games, and then at Temple, he only played in 4 games. So he barely played his freshman year to his junior year. Then he transferred to Toledo, finally got some playing time. He's a big guy, big fella, big boy. 6'5", 310 pounds, so offensive tackle. So we'll see how he shakes out if he does make the practice squad. But we need offensive linemen. We need anybody that we can get in there to come in and compete and just have bodies there. All right, let's talk about Bo Bauer. Bo Bauer out of Notre Dame here. Let's pull it. Yeah, Bo Bauer out of Notre Dame. Let's see here. My computer is loading a little bit slow here, so I'm going to pull him up. I'm going to pull him up real quick. Yeah, Bo Bauer out of Notre Dame. Oh, he's the guy that actually got injured. He actually didn't come out this year. He was actually at another team's mini camp last year, apparently. So he's going to be more of a special teams guy, but he's a linebacker out of Notre Dame. I'll read his write-up here. As a freshman, he saw action in just 2 games and played a total of 20 snaps at linebacker for the Fighting Irish. He recorded just 4 tackles, no assists while adding 1 stop. His senior year, he logged playing time in 13 games and logged a total of 354 snaps for the Fighting Irish. He also added 28 tackles, 10 assists, and 17 snaps. While in coverage, Bauer made 2 pass breakups, 1 interception, and an elite quarterback rating when targeted of 39.3. As a pass rusher, he tallied 12 pressures, which included 7 quarterback hurries, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks on the season. In 2022, as a 5th-year senior, Bauer logged playing time in 5 games and logged a total of 71 snaps for the Fighting Irish. He also added just 6 tackles, no assists, and 4 snaps. So he closes quickly on relatively immobile quarterbacks, a consistently heavy hitter who flashes explosives and the ability to separate the ball. Bauer has enough speed to chase and run in pursuit. He has the overall athleticism to hold up in space when dropping into coverage as well. Good height and a thick, muscular build, long arms, good overall athleticism, and straight line speed as well. He's at his best in coverage. So he's a coverage linebacker. He's a fluid mover capable of turning and running with tight ends, mirroring backs, coming out of the backfield as well. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere where he was in a mini camp last year, and he came out into the draft, but came out undrafted, but he was invited to a mini camp. Went there, I guess didn't make the team, of course. And now he's going to be here with us, in our mini camp. So that's the thing. That's the write-up with Bauer. Trying to think if there's anybody else on the list that I did not talk about. Chigozie. I already talked about Chigozie, Tyler Owens, Michael Wiley. I like him. The guys I like the most is Marcus, the wide receiver of Georgia. I like Michael Wiley. I think he's the guy that I really think can actually make the roster a little bit. It's going to be tough with the running back spot. But if I had to guess somebody to make the roster out of all these guys, I'd probably go with Michael Wiley just because of his versatility and his, the way he can be a receiver and a running back. And I think Cliff Kingsbury would love that. Austin Jones might make it because of the familiar with Cliff Kingsbury, but Michael Wiley has actually shown that he can be outside and be used as a wide receiver in the outside, in the middle as a slot as well. So I think that's the guy that I think out of everybody that can make the roster. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up right here. I think that's all the guys that they have signed as UDFAs so far. You guys let me know what you guys think. Thank you for bearing with me because my computer was just going a little bit slow. Just trying to talk about all these guys and what they do. So thank you for bearing with me through that. Trying to get these players' names up and all this stuff and all the information, all the write-ups that I found. I was just trying to get through that. because I haven't been able to watch all these guys just yet. But that is the stuff that I found. And Jordan Reed also on Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. He said, simply just does his job. Only 2 drops in 4 years. That's what more of a possession guy and a really good contested catch guy. So Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint is his name. I don't think he's going to make the roster only because, Mitchell Tinsley and Zacchaeus and Luke McCaffrey, guys like that. I don't think he's going to make the roster, but I think he would be on the practice squad. If I had to pick anybody, I think it would be David Wiley or Michael Wiley out of Arizona. All right, guys. You guys let me know what you guys think. Hello, Commanders. Peace.